We're live. Hello, everybody. I'm Jennifer Shula. I am a director at the Mass Cannabis Reform Coalition. Thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in for today's Virtual Education Village panel, the 23rd such panel in the series. This segment is brought to you by the MassCann Education Village. MassCann is a registered 501c4 nonprofit organization dedicated to grassroots advocacy and activism related to cannabis. To become a member or donate to the nonprofit, please visit masscann.org, and you can also follow us on Twitter at MassCann and Instagram at masscann.org. Today, we are grateful to be joined by Mallory Callahan, an activist and an author of Mary Jane and the Medicine Train. What an awesome name for a book. Mallory, I'd love for you to introduce yourself to those who are watching. And again, thank you for everybody tuning in and joining us today for the Virtual Ed Village session. And you as well. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you guys so much for having me on. Like Jen had previously said, my name is Mallory Callahan. I'm a first-time author, and I'm a stay-at-home mom to two young boys. I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old. And me and my husband have been normalizing medical cannabis around our children since they were pretty much born. So yeah, that's who I am. Not much other than that.
It's what us cannabis parents need to do is figure out how to talk to our kids about it. So it's really good. You know, I'm gonna ask, what inspired you to come up with this awesome book?
So the book Mary Jane and the Medicine Train really it came to life because I realized that when other people were talking to my children, and my children would respond with, this is my mom's medicine, or this helps people. No, that's a drug. Your parents are doing bad things, and it kind of puts the wrong thing into their head when I'm pretty much telling them that it's okay and that it's saving people's lives. So the reason I made the book was to help parents, just like me, explain to not only their children, but their adult families as well, on why they use medical cannabis. Because I actually have a cousin who had ovarian cancer, and it was really hard for her to talk to her 15-year-old son about her using medical cannabis. And she lives in Massachusetts, and it took her, her son a little bit longer to understand, the benefits. And she said that if she had a book like this, it probably would have been so much easier for her having to do all of that, investigating herself and looking up things online, because there really isn't anything out there like this.
No, absolutely. It's definitely bridging the gap between parents and their children in cannabis, because there's lots of stigma around it. So that's good to be inspired by. It's beautiful. So why do you think it is important that this book gets out there to educate?
I think it's important just because there aren't a lot of people talking to their children about it, or even their families. It's the stigma around it. It makes it so hard to be open, especially because it's illegal in some states still. And yeah, so that's pretty much, it speaks for itself.
To help bridge the gap.
Yeah, you pretty much said it for me. It does really help bridge the gap. Yeah. My main goal is to essentially be in a cannabis doctor's or a medical dispensary where a new patient can go in, they can talk with a worker, and they can find out types of medicines, but then they can also find something to explain it to their grandparents or their parents or their children on how everything that it benefits with.
So how do you, without giving the whole book away, how do you describe your book? What does it express? What do you how people use the medicine, what it helped with?
Yeah, it does. It's funny. Our book doesn't talk about taking the medicine at all. It only talks about what it benefits. So, there won't be anyone smoking in the book. Because there are so many different ways to take your medicine. Not everyone smokes their medicine. I know that's the mainstream media telling everyone that that's what they do, but you know, I know some people who just do RSO and some people who just do lotion, and you know, they do CBD and THC. There's so many different options. So we do just talk about the medical benefits. um,
I yes. So that, yeah, that's great. I would love my kids to read this book. It's funny because sometimes my kids educate adults, and it's tricky because they look at me like I'm the bad parent for having educated my child on the subject. They'll correct adults around them if they say, "Oh, your mom smokes weed." She's like, "Actually, she consumes cannabis."
right, and it's so much better that way.
Yeah, and I'm like, good going. And I know some people, the stigma against that makes it seem like, oh, look at her talking to her kids about cannabis. What is she doing? But honestly, if you grow up around it, and it is a recreational item in a bunch of states, so it's nice. So this book's another way for me to reassure my children that, like, see, it is a good thing. It's not this terrible, taboo thing to touch.
Right, voodoo, like crazy thing that people
Yeah,
think
it just
is like out of
bad
this world,
everything.
right? Yeah.
I,
And that was one of the big things too, and I did want to, mostly deal or talk about all of, the ailments that it does help with. So that's why at the end of the book we actually added a glossary. So my son is very
good idea.
um to the wall. I'll be like, read the room, and he'll be like, there's no words on the wall, mom, I don't know what you're talking about, like literal.
Hmm.
And I thought, wow, what a great idea just to have like a glossary at the end, and it actually breaks down what the illnesses and ailments that we go over with, like in like scientific way. So if they did want to learn more into what it was helping, and then it says, oh, you may also go online, and look up more, or maybe go to your local library with your parent. But at the end of the book, I'll tell you, at the end of the book, it does give the reader and also the parent a chance to like have a discussion, because at the last sentence in the book says, now why don't you look to your parent and ask them why they use medical cannabis and have that conversation. So it's like an opening too, that no one really knows that, so that's kind of just like what.
Yeah,
But I'm so excited
that's
about
a
that
great
part.
introduction, though. Yeah. That's awesome. Do you find it? So I noticed, like, since I became a mom in the cannabis world, I get other mothers coming to me and asking me all sorts of questions. Do you find that now you get, other moms being like, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for bringing this forward. Because now I have something to like show my child or show my ex, or, just
Yeah.
have the communication open so it doesn't look so, the
Yeah,
regular stoner being like, yeah, I smoke pot. So it's lovely.
exactly. Yes. Yep. Since I started my Kickstarter a couple of months ago, I've had multiple parents reach out to me, from all aspects, like, oh my god, thank you so much. I can explain to my children, or I can explain to my family that I'm trying to fight for my child. So a lot of people have been coming to me, I'm trying to help my child by giving them medical cannabis because of some problems, because there is a child in the book who does use medical cannabis, so it does dip into that realm as well. And she's like, I cannot we do a story on my son. I would love to let people know that there are children who take it as well. I'm like, oh my god, there's already a little boy in there, like, this is
Yes,
amazing.
that's
She's like, oh,
awesome.
she cried when I told her there was another. She was like, I have such a hard time in her state just to see 6 different doctors, like her parents won't talk to her, and this is all for her son. And
Yep.
I'm I'm like, oh my god, and she
So,
cried, and I'm really excited.
so speaking of that, then, do you have like future plans for the train to grow? Like, are you gonna
Yeah.
start
So
telling
Mary Jane,
people that?
so yes, in the first books, she only goes to 8 states. So my goal is to have 8 total books where she's going to go throughout the whole United States, and then we're going to go internationally, and we're going to touch on international laws as well and how people internationally use the medicine. And I really think that's going to be a big one as well. But I'm just
That is
excited.
huge. I'm so
Yeah.
excited for you. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to read the book myself. Oh, And that's also good news today is the Mexican Supreme Court just legalized cannabis a few hours ago. So hooray for that. So once you do, that's another great segment for your book right there.
That is amazing. Oh my God, I didn't even hear that. That's
awesome.
I love how it's already
That's
changing.
amazing.
And you know what? Since I've made my book, there have already been a few states that have medically recognized it now. New York was a big one. When I was doing that, that was a
oh, that's awesome. One.
Yeah. So I'm just so happy with how it's going, but there are always going to be naysayers. There are always going to be people who doubt that it's medicine. And I feel like this is definitely, a stepping stone in the right direction.
Oh, any type of education is. So in Massachusetts, you do have to get, speaking of the children, for children to get the cannabis card, you have to get 2 approvals from the pediatricians, from 2 different pediatricians. Do you know if it's similar anywhere else or in other countries or internationally? Do you know if they treat children?
Yes. So in the book, actually, the little boy, he lives in, so all of my stories are based on real people. So
that's the best.
Yeah.
Total. It's just the best.
So I do change the names, but they keep the states the same just because it makes it easier with the laws and everything. So Montana is where we meet Wes and his mom. And he does need to see, let's see. Yep, he does need to see 2 different doctors. So it does seem like it's a wide range thing, and they do have to be separate as well. And it doesn't have to be, it's not every year, it's every 6 months for him. So every 6 months, he has to see 2 different doctors.
Wow. In your opinion, think we should change that?
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
The patients in Massachusetts have been lobbying to reduce that, which would be wonderful if that can go through, because a lot of children can benefit from this. And it's one of those topics that gets ignored a lot because it has the word children and cannabis together. But like, again, you bringing up any type of education towards the pediatrician side is just like, thank you from a mom who smokes as well. It's amazing. And I hope everybody in Massachusetts still wants to fight for those rights for the kids too, because if we can stop early childhood, anything from leukemia to not sleeping to any type of help with autism, it doesn't have to be a child smoking. Like you said, there is so many different ways to consume that product, or just even have the aroma could calm down a setting. You never know. So it's lovely, and it's lovely to hear so many stories of success with it. And that's what I really love that you brought forward, is how many success stories there are out there, and truly amazing. Absolutely truly amazing.
I love that. And I do hope that we're able to change the laws in Massachusetts, because 2 doctors to get medicine, I'm not sure if is it every year in Massachusetts for children.
I honestly think it might be this.
It's every year.
It's every year. Yeah, I do believe it's every year.
And then we also come into the fact that, not everyone's going to agree with that. I have personally people that have reached out to me, and they're having a hard time even getting a doctor's appointment for their children to even be seen for medical cannabis. I have a 14-year-old who, her mom messages me, and she's been talking to her pediatrician for a little while, trying to get help with her autism, and her daughter is self-medicating. And she's like, this is helping her. Let us find something else. And they don't want to allow her or give her the referral. I'm not really sure what everything is about, but it seems to be really hard. And I wish there was help for them.
I have found my walls as well. My son was born missing his whole hand. So his left digits are completely gone, and which creates early onset arthritis, because of the way we function with our hand is different than the way, well, we have fingers, he just has the wrist to move. And I do know that any type of transdermal or cannabis cream help, in theory, it should help him out and make it feel better. So I would love to do that because I don't want a steroid treatment for him. I don't want him on pain medication. I don't want him on the arthritis pills that have to filter through your liver and everything. Like, oh my gosh, he's too young. But I would love to get, just to even use the lotion, I would need a card for him, a medical card. So it is so important. It's nobody wants their children to smoke weed. We just want to help them and with their ailments. It's truly a medical purpose.
Exactly.
I hope they change it, and I'm glad there's so many parents on board with it as well. I do know there's some that go. There's always naysayers, but they're everywhere. We just gotta keep brightening the world with all our anecdotal evidence of success. So
exactly.
If you could tell something to the world about cannabis, what would it be?
It's medicine.
Absolutely.
Seriously, it can help so many lives.
Point blank. Absolutely. If anything, it is medicine, and it should be treated as such and not treated as it belongs locked up and destroyed. It's crazy.
I mean, medicine helps people and it destroys people, no matter what it is, whether it be pills or people think that cannabis does it, but it really doesn't. But I've seen people abuse any type of drug, and I feel like if we can just get out of that mindset, we'll be able, to move forward so much more. So
my son had a tonsillectomy. I wish that I could have treated him differently than, we did Tylenol because I really am against the narcotic thing, but they gave us narcotics, liquid form, to give to him at the age of 7. And I was just like, what? Like, there's so many other choices. I even know this for a fact. Like, I've brought it up to their doctors, but they are so afraid to discuss it because of, I guess, either stigma or it could lose, I don't know why doctors are scared to discuss it, actually. It's silly, but it's it's wild. I love, why do you actually think doctors are afraid to discuss it? What?
I think that people are afraid of being different. I feel like people are afraid to get out of the mold. No one wants to be known as the person who, went against their superior, or I'm not really sure how that would go in the hospital. But with the doctors, I know that it's, a corporate thing in hospitals. So it's always the top person at the, top that actually lets everyone say their piece. But I really do feel like a lot of people are being held back just because of how corporate America feels on it. If they're not getting their money, they don't want to talk. They don't want their doctors talking about it. So I think that a lot of people are afraid.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I do. I feel like fear is driven. How do you feel about the stigma around child use in states that are legal with cannabis versus the states that aren't? Do you feel like, the rate of child use, I apologize, let me form that better. Do you think children using cannabis is going down, like teenagers or everything, because of adult use being legal? Do you see that?
Surprisingly, I think yes. And I will, surprisingly, whereas surprisingly they're taking what we're putting down and they're accepting it, whereas they're not going to take medicine. They're not going to want to take medicine just because they're children. It's not like that a legal thing that they need to do.
Right.
So I do feel like it has changed a little bit. I have a few cousins who are a little bit in their teenage years, and they always say all the time, oh, you do drugs, oh, you take that, oh, you do that. I'm like, wow, I'm surprised for a 14 and 15-year-old to be so against it. And they're like, well, it's medicine. You guys all say it's medicine. Why would I want to use it? I'm not going to use it. It doesn't help me. Let me go get drunk. And I'm like, oh, that's even worse, but okay. But I have seen it go down a little bit personally. So that's, I think that that's awesome.
I do too. I really do. It does. It takes away that that image of oh, I'm cool. But
right. Exactly. It does.
it keeps it open for using what it needs to be used for. Kind of like I went to Italy when I was a kid and I got wine at the table and I thought that was so cool. But my cousin who's there was like, it's just wine, relax. We've had it since birth, like cut it out. So I feel like that's how maybe cannabis will start to be looked at too. Like, relax, it's just cannabis. It's just medicine.
Right.
What do you need it for?
I hope so. I hope so.
Do you think like age has a factor in it? Do you think that they're afraid to introduce it to young children because of issues that could arrive? Or do you think like they just don't do it? they don't even touch it yet. Like, do you think they would treat older children versus younger children? Or do you think all of it, doctors, do you think they'd have an issue treating like younger children versus older children, or not want to treat the older children because they would treat it like that? Or
right. I think that it's definitely hard for doctors to want to prescribe medical cannabis to teenagers just because of, how probably they were raised and, how they remember their high school was. It's a little different. But I do think that they hold off on it a little bit more just because there's not a lot of, because, it all comes down to the research. We don't have a lot of research. We don't have a lot of findings. So it's like, we're only hearing real life stories. And
I also do think a lot of like parents and the medical facility, they think, oh, cannabis legal. Oh, I don't want my 15-year-old smoking. It's like, yes, but they have capsules that they can take to relax. It's not about smoking. And I think other thing is people and the medical facilities, they don't realize like there's multiple ways to consume. We're not just talking smoking pot here.
Exactly.
We're talking medicinal purposes, like different uses. So it's lovely. Ooh, it's a hot day today.
It is so hot. I'm so sorry. I'm just sweating.
I am too. I'm like, oh, I'm so sticky. Oh my goodness. One of those days, the hot days sometimes make it harder to smoke. That's when edibles come into play.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. But it's, it definitely, with the cannabis and children thing, I think that if we talk about it more and it's more open, I think that it'll, doctors will start to open up more. Well, at least I hope they will. I'm not a doctor myself, but.
Now, what do you think hiding that you consume around, like if your kids are aware, obviously not smoking within like a closed window room with them or anything like that, but do you think it needs to still be hidden from them in home? Or do you think if they come outside and you're out there, it's not that big of a deal? They're just playing their swing set? Because I kind of believe if my neighbor can be out there with her glass of wine, why shouldn't I be out there with my joint?
Like, oh yeah, definitely.
And I can drive a car.
Yeah, if my kids have made a few comments like, "What's that weird smell?" And I'm like, "Whoa, you obviously are too close to mommy. Like, mommy's taking her medicine. If you can actually smell my medicine, then you need to go over there." And I know there's a lingering smell, but they understand what that distance is, and they know. And so
it's so funny. I'm like, if you can smell me, back up. I'm like, go over there. You're still safe. You're good, but I'm gonna be over here. As if I were to smoke, I would do the same thing if I smoked cigarettes. I wouldn't.
Exactly.
I would walk 15 feet away so it's not blowing in their face. Like common sense, I guess. But I do know a lot of people, oh my gosh, your children know. And it's like, well, they're educated. Why wouldn't I want them to know?
Right. I want them to, help the future generations, mold how everything. I want the laws to change. I want things to be put in place to help people. I want people to be out of prison for, consuming cannabis. I want all these things. And we cannot change the future if we don't start with our children. Right? Because we can talk to other adults all the time about what we want, but if they're not understanding and they're not on the same level as us, nothing's going to change. But if we start at home and the cannabis and everything starts at home, then it will just make it that much easier, and it will make them that much more confident when they do go out into the world and they do, speak up. And like my son, he's 6, my youngest son, he's 6. Our friend, he's a caregiver in Massachusetts. And one day we had to use his bathroom and he had like his thing open. And my son ran in and he was like, whoa, you got a lot of medicine plants here to help people. And then like ran past it and went to the bathroom. Like it was nothing, but it was just like
no big deal whatsoever.
right.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my heart.
Proud parent moment. I feel the same way when my kids do that, or well, something similar. They'll correct people, or they'll like be like, "Oh yeah, it's just that. Who cares? What's the big deal?"
Exactly. Exactly. So
it makes
I
you
love
feel
that.
like, all right, doing it right.
Exactly. And I hope that they're able to push the message that I taught them as they get older. So yeah.
Have they read the book? Do they like it?
Oh, they helped me make it. I'm
Your
so sorry. I
children?
didn't even see that.
Oh, that's the best.
Oh yeah. It was like
Credit
our
for
little
the kids.
quarantine.
You guys
It
are
was
the
our
best.
quarantine project. So like my oldest is very analytical and he liked to pick out the backgrounds. We did a lot of research on what people's, areas looked like. And then he helped me do like a rough draft for our illustrator. And then
Oh my gosh.
and then we would read through and then if they would add like there's a few like words in there that are like children, like dude and yeesh, and it's just like little words that like my 6-year-old made me add. So, so my kids did help.
It's good though. That's amazing. You literally, it's the first way to end the stigma is starting in your own home. So it's great, especially educating a younger crowd too. So it's so lovely. I love it, and I appreciate all the time you've spent with me today. Everything going forward, the whole thing is just incredible, and you should be so proud because that is an amazing accomplishment. Getting a book published, that's
Thank you so
incredible.
Much. Thank you. My next goal is to get it into every dispensary.
By everybody.
Yes, I need to get it in dispensaries for medical patients. To give it to.
I think parents need to educate their.
Yes, exactly.
Bring it into their home to end that gap. So leading into that, I would love for you to let me know all your information and let everybody who's watching know how we can find you, follow you, and find that amazing book.
Yeah, of course. So we are on Facebook and Instagram, Mary Jane and the Medicine Train. And you can see all of our updates with the publishing and when they're going to come in and all the extras on there. And then our website is actually family.us. Like family, but leaf, like together.
I love that. Cool. It's so cute, family. Oh my gosh, adorable.
Thank you. So yes, so you can go in there if you would like to pre-order a copy of our book. We're still waiting on the initial run to actually get delivered to us. We should receive that in the middle of August, and then they'll go out at the end of August. So everyone should receive them in September. But yeah. I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for having me on here.
Thank you so much for joining me. And this was great to get to know. And again, I love that you're bringing anything towards the education, towards the pediatrician part of the cannabis industry. It really, truly needs to be brought forward. So thanks for starting another chapter to it. It's awesome.
Thank you. And I'll have to come back when I have the rest of the books as well.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to get my signed copy. Yeah. And I wanted to thank everybody for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you. And feel free to follow us. And don't forget to check out MassCann.org and check our whole 501c nonprofit out. And I appreciate it. Have a great night, guys.